And now I would like to pass the floor to Wendy, who is our first speaker, and she's a co-chair of UniLiON network.
Thank you very much, Bara. I'm looking forward to Denise putting the slides on the screen. So welcome, my name is Wendy Sonneveld. I'm working as a Senior Policy Advisor, European Affairs at Ghent University in the research department. And I have a role as a co-chair in UniLiON. My co-chair, Karel Stukkel, is unfortunately not available today, but we will do without him. So you see the first slide of UniLiON, the word UniLiON, it's an abbreviation. It stands for Universities Informal Liaison Officers Network. And if you see, as you see on the next slide, there are many participants in the network. There are about 50 offices that are represented, and some offices represent one university, like is the case for my co-chair, Karel Stukkel, who is representing Aix-Marseille University, but other offices represent several universities, like is the case for one of the other speakers today, Sana Sjöblom. She represents the Stockholm Trio, 3 universities having one joint Brussels office. So as you can see on the next slide, UniLiON is an informal network with more than, over 50 university liaison offices, but more than 150 universities. We are an active information multiplier. We are, for the external world, an entry point for information or intelligence that that can come to us, and at the same time, for members, we are a gateway towards, for example, the European institutions, and also for members to find partners amongst the other members of UniLiON. On the next slide, I think it's important to state what is UniLiON not about, because that will help you to understand what it is. We are not a lobbying entity, so we are not an organization, stakeholder organization, like, for example, the European University Association. We will not publish position papers. We do not have an office somewhere in Brussels. Our offices are the 50 offices of the UniLiON members, and that is where we meet each other from time to time. We have, as you can see on the next slide, a secretariat. The slides will be sent with you afterwards, so you can look at it in all detail. But what is important for now is that there's someone that takes care of the events, someone that coordinates the communication, and someone that takes care of the working groups. And of course, we have someone responsible for the finances, a treasurer, and we have 2 co-chairs. We come together, as you can see on the next slide, in our working groups. Currently, we have 4 working groups. And maybe tomorrow we have more. Everything depends on the members, or even less if it is not useful anymore to continue with a specific working group. Today, members meet each other from time to time, whenever relevant, in the Innovation Working Group, the Excellence Working Group, focusing on the first pillar of Horizon Europe, and on Horizon Europe and Future Policy Working Group. Future policy, think about the European Research Area, for example. And there is a working group focusing on international cooperation, and it might not be a surprise for you that these people talk a lot about the Brexit, for example, and the impact on Horizon Europe and cooperation. That's not all. We join each other for working groups, but also for other activities, like at the bottom of your slide, social events. You might imagine that if you're representing on your own university back home and you're on your own in Brussels, it's quite handy to have other colleagues that do approximately the same job as you in Brussels, very close by. So we organize, or the members of UniLiON organize from time to time, informal get-togethers, informal gatherings, to have the network that is close by, and to create this network and keep it updated. And that's also necessary, because if you do really know the colleagues that you work with in Brussels, it's much easier to share knowledge and intelligence, and that's what we do in our core meetings. and share draft papers or draft documents from the European Commission with each other. If you know each other very well, thanks to this UniLiON social events, then it's easier to trust the colleagues that you work with. You know them and you know who you share your leaked documents with from the European Commission or the Parliament. So in these core group meetings, we meet every 6 weeks approximately. We share a lot of knowledge and intelligence. For example, one of the last meetings, we discussed this network of innovative universities. Someone asked a question about where is this about? I read something about it, but I do not really know where it is about. And then someone else, another member came in. Yeah, I know it is an initiative from our commissioner, Mariah Gabriel. And then someone else added, oh yes, but I learned that my minister received a letter to nominate a national university or University of Applied Sciences to be part of this network. So every piece of the puzzle was put together, and that allows us to be able to follow what is going on around us here in Brussels in an easier and more timely matter, in a more timely way. So that's what we do in core meetings, but we also, of course, have the opportunity to take care of the network itself, make sure that we have the working groups that we need. All these formal decisions on what the network is about are taken in these core group meetings. And then after these core meetings take place in the mornings, and in the afternoons we have open talks. And there we invite European Commission people or people from the European Parliament, or for example, also next time we will meet with the Swedish presidency perm rep people. They come to us to talk about RNI topics during the Swedish presidency that starts on the 1st of January. So really relying on members' initiatives, members coming up with ideas for the open talks and relevant topics, and then together we invite the right people in our networks, and we help each other to find the right people in the European institutions. So it's a network that is not for members, it's by and for members. And then on the next slide, you will see that how a lot of members sell the benefits of being part of UniLiON at home. UniLiON colleagues are often our sparring partners to help timely and better understand RNI and education policy developments. They are your entry ticket to help you find the right partners for your Horizon Europe projects, and UniLiON gives you visibility in Brussels as well. If you would like to engage, UniLiON could be your gateway to more than 150 universities. It could provide access to potential partners. It represents an efficient information multiplier, and it could inspire your university or your universities to contribute or to participate in surveys like the survey that we expect later this year on the interim evaluation of Horizon Europe, for example. We do have eligibility criteria, of course. That's normal for such a network. So we are open, as you can see on the next slide, please, to universities with a Brussels-based liaison office, or a group of universities that have a liaison office together. And it is also important to know that we are currently updating our guidelines, because we really would like to allow new members in that can bring benefits to the network. So we're currently discussing this. No decision have been taken yet, but we might expect that, for example, it might become that, for example, consultancy firms, for them, it will not be, or it will be much more difficult, at least, or not possible to join the network because of conflict of interest. So it's really based on universities and university groups, networks, having a Brussels office. I hope, Bara, that this was a little bit that you expected.
Well, thank you very much, Wendy, for this detailed introduction to UniLiON Network. And I just need to point out that, as you said yourself, it's a little bit different network than the associations that we were presenting last time, because you really get together universities, liaison offices here in Brussels. So it's one of its kind, right? Yeah, this
Exactly.
UniLiON
Yes,
network.
maybe together with IGLO, the informal group of liaison officers, but that is not open for universities itself. It's open for for national organizations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're
And
welcome.
yeah, so if we don't have any immediate questions, then we can follow with another presentation. And I'm happy to invite Massimo Buzuoli here. And he's, I don't see him right now. Yeah, I can see him.
Here
Great.
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
didn't
Massimo
show.
is head of Norwegian University of Science and Technology Brussels office. And I'm very happy that he can just we can pass floor to him now, because this university, this Norwegian university, is part of UniLiON network, so it can be kind of complementary today, these presentations. And yeah, Massimo, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bara and Denisa, for the appreciated invitation to this interesting exchange that we're going to have today. I understand I will have 10 minutes, so I don't want to lose too much time about introduction and so on. Let me just share my presentation, which has a very generic title, but I assure to you I'm not going to make self-promotion, partly, let's say partly. So, just a few words about the Brussels office of NTNU and the reasons why it was created, because I think it's a good way to also show why it is important to get visible in Brussels. The Brussels office was established in 2016 when NTNU basically was entering the previous programming period, Horizon 2020, that everyone knows very well. And basically it was a result of an internal revision of the approach of the university to Europe, linked to the fact that the Norwegian government told to the system, we invest a lot of money in the framework programs. We need Norway to be more present and more active. So this is one first key message I think is important to share with you, that having a Brussels office somehow is a good tool to denotate a political willingness from each of the represented parties by Brussels offices of being more engaged in the European, what is defined as the European research area. We are a unit in NTNU that respond directly to the Vice Rector for Research, which is an ideal hooking in terms of strategic positioning, also internally to the organization, because it gives you more impact when you need to mobilize your researchers into specific action of positioning or of visibility. And our approach is, of course, not focused on faculties, but focused on the university as a whole. Today, Horizon Europe is probably the most multidisciplinary framework program ever produced by the European Commission, making very important the cross dialogue, cross faculty dialogue to even try to impact as much as possible both the project but also the priorities preparation of Europe. We are a small office, if you want. We are 4 people in the office. 2 of them are student trainees that we host every 6 months, and we also host colleagues that find desks and options here. So coming to my intervention, as time is running and I don't want to take too much of it, how we have established ourselves. First of all, I think it's important that what we apply is what I defined in my analysis of what should be done in Brussels, the so-called asynchronous jump. What I like to define as an asynchronous jump is imagining the Commission as someone giving a concert on a stage. Okay, so the Commission is on the stage and looks in front of itself, and in front of the Commission there are the 60,000 lobbyists that are currently estimated in Brussels jumping. Okay, everyone is jumping, trying to be noticed. The problem is that everyone is jumping at the same time, and so the Commission just noticed 60,000 heads that jump. If you want to win the race to get visible, when the others are down, you have to be up. And this is what I call the synchronous jump. The others are down, you jump asynchronously. And the synchronous jump is linked to the capability of your office or your entity to generate initiatives or events or debates or documents that are impacting strongly in the overall hot topics that are running in the city. This is why the office is structured along 6 lines, which are the promotion and representation of NTNU in Brussels. Is clear. You need to be visible. You need to be visible for 2 reasons. The first one is that, of course, visibility means reputation. Reputation means image value. Image value means that you are a desirable object. So to help NTNU to be noticed, and maybe why not even invited to collaborations or considered for collaborations or being capable to be listened when it wants to state something, it's important that the system understand what NTNU is, what are the capabilities, who we are, what we do, etc., etc. So we do a lot of activities in line with the need to promote, if you want, I call it marketing of knowledge. But you also represent NTNU, which is another aspect. I mean, you have to have a voice. You have to have a voice, you have to sit at the table, and you have to be capable to somehow state smart things in order to, again, qualify yourself as a stakeholder capable to impact in and collaborating in the shaping of the European priorities. Then there is another aspect that is important, and again is linked, if you want, to the visibility, the capability to mobilize the internal system. And the internal system needs to be mobilized again to try to get it involved in Brussels-oriented initiatives. It's always extremely complicated to take out your colleagues from the national system and come to Brussels. And what we do normally, we try to add intelligence to the strategies that the Commission is doing to inspire our colleagues about the fact that an investment from their side into a specific initiative, a specific table, or representing a new specific platforms could be of return for themselves, but moreover for the university. Being in Brussels is an incredibly good asset also for what concerns the fact that, we know Xelo since long. I was a member of IGLO in my past life, so we had a lot of good collaborations. I am collaborating with Wendy inside UniLiON. In UniLiON, there are other 50 offices. You can reach easily 150 university. When I go out from my office and I cross the street, I can maybe go into a region from Poland and so on. The beauty of Brussels is exactly this. I mean, you meet people, you know people, and sometimes someone can come to you and say, do you have interest in joining a proposal that one of my partners is doing? And this is, if you want, an extra asset that the visibility that you could have in Brussels by networking, by doing your social life in the city, can take as an advantage to your organization. So this is why I said contribution to improve NTNU your project portfolio. We don't write proposals, but we are the first spark towards specific initiatives that are then followed by the colleagues home. And the same, of course, applies when you want, for example, to organize specific bilateral or trilateral collaborations, trying to build a collaboration dialogue. Again, for the same reasons of the networking, I can easily maybe go to Xelo and say, you know what, we would like to organize a brokerage event with the Czech University of Technology, where I still have some good friends when I was a researcher. And through the collaboration with offices like Xelo, we can set up a brokerage event or a scientific exchange with a very easy approach, because both offices are very hooked to the respective organizations of representation. So they are listened. And normally what is coming from Brussels is taken into consideration from the home initiatives. And again, if you're visible, if you're active, you normally are capable to build interesting, impactful initiatives for the colleagues in the universities and etc. I know that I still have 2 minutes. Of course, the office is also providing logistics. We have room, we have a meeting room and so on. But how we do our visibility? By creating, as I told you, initiatives. For example, we have launched a couple of years ago this initiative, which is called 1 Hour with Europe. It's a set of 1-hour webinars organized on a monthly basis, where we invite a guest from the Commission, stays with us for 1 hour, Normally there is 30 minutes presentation and 30 minutes of question and answer, but the question and answer is managed, if you want, in a different way. So we do not read the question and answer, but we just open the floor. So we open the camera and the people intervene. The added value is that if you have any crazy people, you can just shut it down by deconnecting, but somehow we simulate a real workshop. And I have to tell you, it works quite well. The data here is a bit outdated. The last edition, we got more than 500 registered participants, and you immediately understand that this is a return of visibility. Among the other events that we organized in Brussels with the scope to qualify ourselves, both at scientific level, but also in terms of a contributor to the European research area, we organize annually a European conference. You see here the last two editions. The 2021 edition got hit by COVID. It was December last year, so it was the moment in which COVID was raising again. But we got, in any case, we are achieving very good numbers. This conference has become one appointment of Brussels where many people like to come, because we link science with strategy. We link science with policies. So we normally try to organize high-level debates, and we have been able to attract important speakers. For example, last year, the opening plenary got the Director General of DG Connect, and the final closing plenary got one member of the cabinet of Maria Gabriel. So normally these are elements of attraction of what you do. But we also organize some specific workshop where we highlight what our faculties are having in their portfolio. And this implies, of course, collaboration also with the European Parliament. As you see here, we organize several events also in the frame of the European Parliament, as well as promoting, to some extent, some positions. You see this workshop on carbon capture and storage was basically part of a strategy that we have designed with our research infrastructure, Excel, which is the European Research Infrastructure for Carbon Capture and Storage, to try to launch a new narrative on the carbon capture and storage technologies that are not only cleaning fossil fuels, but also can be used to decarbonize the industry. I stop here. I know that I have exploited my 10 minutes, so I pass again the floor to Bara.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. I think you really highlighted the benefits of being here in Brussels, and also how you described that sometimes it's just about going out and meeting people on the streets, and the opportunities can come to yourself. But if you're active yourself, I think that you really got it right. And I also liked your metaphor of a synchronous jump. Yeah, I think that all of us who are members of some bigger networks, or if it's IGLO, ACA, or anything, we can see that this is true, what you described. Okay, thank you very much. And now let's proceed to the last presentation. And I would like to welcome here Sana Hoblom from the Stockholm Trio Universities Alliance.
Thank you very much. And I hope I am now showing my presentation. Perfect. Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, and very happy to join you today. Thank you, Bad and Denisa, for the invitation, and for Cielo to organize this event. And as already mentioned, I represent 3 universities here. They're all from the Stockholm region, but I'm based here in Brussels, representing the Karolinska Institute, KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology, and Stockholm University. And together they make out the Stockholm Trio University Alliance. So first, a bit of a background just on the Alliance to give an idea of what it is. So it was launched back in 2019, so it's still fairly new. And here on the slide, you can see the different comments from the different institution presidents on the creation of the Alliance, and the reasons, some of the reasons for making and establishing the Alliance. And among other things, the development of partnerships was mentioned, also the creation of international visibility of the universities, the idea that you're stronger together, and as well as the possibility to promote specific fields of research. And here life sciences is mentioned. And as an alliance, you could say it's a national one with different priorities, where the Brussels office is one of the priorities, and that's why I am here. And this is connected to the enhanced international collaboration and increased visibility that the universities are aiming for. And just briefly, a few facts about the Stockholm Trio members that you can see here. I will skip through pretty quickly as we have a limited amount of time. But in general, we represent many students, many researchers, and with a lot of participation in the framework program. And the idea of the trio, also the Brussels office, is to continue this work and enhance the participation in the framework programs. Here again, just an idea to give an idea of where participation has mainly been taking place in Horizon Europe for the members. Being research-intensive universities, it's Pillar 1, excellent science, that you can find the main participation, but also in Pillar 2 and 3 as well. And last but not least, to give an idea of who and how many collaboration and connections that you can find. So here, all the universities together, you see 610 projects in Horizon 2020, making out 9,600 collaboration links. And the countries you see here are where the most links could be found. So the biggest country for collaboration for the 3 universities was Germany, followed by the UK, France, Spain, Italy, and so on. And it's difficult to see on this picture, but you do see the Czech Republic and Czech actors in this as well. So of course there were connections between the Stockholm Trio and Czech actors in Horizon 2020. So this is a bit of the background of the Alliance itself, all the universities who are members, and also to give an idea of how we work, because I think this differs from all of the offices. We've had UniLiON presenting already, which we are a member of, a very useful and important network for us. And as it was mentioned, there's a lot of information that can be collected and that you have access to by being present in Brussels. And this is how we have structured it to make sure that we also have a receiving end back home, someone or some people who can also use this information. So the tree itself is governed by the governing board, which is made up of the presidents of the universities. And they have direct contact with the steering group of the Brussels office. Here, the grants offices of the universities come in. And here, furthest down, you see us, the Brussels office. This includes me and my colleague Dan André. But there are in total 5 of us, because from each university back home, we have a designated contact person, we could say, who we send back the information to. We have weekly updates, meetings, to make sure nothing is lost in between, and that we have a receiving end of everything that we do here. And then moving on to where the real action is. So where the question, and what the question comes down to, why you should be present in Brussels and what do you do when you're present here. So networking and information gathering is definitely one of the biggest activities that we have. UniLiON coming in here being very important. So we're part of it as the Stockholm Trio, but being 3 universities, it also means that sometimes we do change hats. We can represent different universities depending on the topic, the different questions being raised. So that's one way of working as well for us. And being present really facilitates, as Wendy mentioned, when you know people, it's also easier to share information, experiences, to ask sometimes what you can feel maybe is a stupid question, but then you have the possibility to actually ask it by being present and knowing people. And this is very helpful. Visibility in Brussels is, of course, very important. We also, as has been presented by Massimo, for instance, organize events and different networks, mingles and activities as well. Strategic proactive work comes down to the possibility of having information early on and being able to act on it, basically, and being part of forming the agenda, influencing the agenda. And last but not least, interaction and communication with our home organizations is, of course, also why we are here. And I just also want to mention briefly that here in Brussels, we're based at the Stockholm region office. As I'm the only one who's here for the trio 100%, it's very nice for me to have colleagues, actually. And it becomes very practical in the way that we have a close contact and it's easy access to our colleagues from the Stockholm region, from the city of Stockholm, and also other actors. And that's a practical way also when it comes to administration to organize your work. So that's just a handy tip in case anyone have Brussels plans. And also when it comes to the Stockholm region, this is ranked as the most knowledge-intensive region outside of the US and widely recognized as one of the most innovative regions in the world. And this also makes it natural for us to sit together in Brussels and have a close cooperation here. And now I'm coming towards the end of my presentation. So just in summary, the Stockholm Trio University Alliance contributes to collaboration both on a national level and international level, the Brussels office being one priority. A strength is that the universities are complementary to each other. There's they have different specific fields of research and here complementing each other. And the Brussels office being one of the many priorities of the Alliance, and that we here are based together with the Stockholm Region EU office. So coming to an end, this is my last picture. Thanks a lot. And I just want to mention on this photo, because it's borrowed from my colleague, Dan André. And I believe it paints a very comprehensive picture of what Brussels and also the EU sometimes can feel like. That sometimes you don't know which way to go, even though you have signs pointing maybe in different ways. So for me, being present here in Brussels, us having an office here, this is part of my job, supporting my colleagues back home in which direction to take. So in that way, this picture becomes very, paints a clear picture of the work here. So thanks a lot for your time and for listening, and over to you, Bara and Denisa.
Thank you very much, Sana. Yes, I can confirm the picture is really right. And thank you for presenting this different perspective, because we heard today from a network, then from a single university, and now from this trio. So actually Alliance of Free Universities, which is really interesting for me, and I believe also for our participants. Also, thank you for sharing useful tips, such as partnering up with other regional or national offices here. I think that's really useful tip as well. So thank you once again to all the speakers.